So Birds of Prey is finally out and I just got a chance to go and watch the movie, and in this video I'm going to be giving my review of the film, talking about some of the specifics, things that I liked, things that I didn't like, and give an overall score to what I feel and how I feel, the film had an impact on me and how good it was as a film in general. But before I get into that, I'd just like to say, if you do enjoy this video and you want to check out some of my other Birds of Prey content, my other movie, TV show content, then subscribe to the channel and give a like on this video and turn on your notifications. But without further ado, let's get into the review of Birds of Prey. So this is going to be a spoiler-free review, so I'm going to do my best to kind of keep spoilers, locked down, so you guys who haven't seen the movie, don't get spoiled by it. But I'm going to do my best to kind of give some of the pointers, the things that I liked and things that I didn't like, without giving away spoilers. And, before I get into it, I'd just like to say that, going into this movie, there was a lot of talk about how this was going to be very political, how it was going to be, SJW-like, and, they were going to preach a lot of politics in the film. I must say I was pleasantly surprised by the fact that they didn't do any of that, and it was really, just focusing on a decent story with decent characters. And I guess the story isn't necessarily the strong point of this film, but it's to a standard where I think, coming out of the cinema, I actually liked what I saw, and I liked the themes of kind of coming together, someone who is lonely in Harley Quinn after, the events of Suicide Squad or her breakup with the Joker, as they keep stressing throughout this film. I can't count how many times Harley Quinn, mentions Mr. J and her breakup, but I guess that is the central core of her character, and it does make sense to that. And her coming from a very lonely place and, still remaining in character as Harley Quinn through the start of this film and doing the things Harley would normally, seem to be doing. And then as the film progresses, as she, seems to come together with all of the other Birds of Prey and they start to intervene in the story, and then, we find ourselves where they all have to come together to take down Black Mask. I think overall, that kind of approach to the story with the themes also at play was really good. And I think the one thing which stood out for me in this film, which was there that wasn't there in Suicide Squad, was the fact that I actually gave a crap about the characters I was watching. And that is based on, good writing, good story development, good character development, and that's something that this film was better at than Suicide Squad. Now, I'm not saying Birds of Prey is fantastic in terms of story and character development, but it's a lot better than Suicide Squad, and it definitely stands on its own 2 feet. And I think also one of the other positives of this film was the tone, and I like the way they took kind of a Quentin Tarantino approach to the structure of the film, and also to just the tone and the comedy in general. I think Harley narrating this film is something that is really strong, and it works with her psychotic nature and the way they piece together the editing with her voiceover. That's something that works really well in the development of this film. And overall, it was things like that that really pleasantly surprised me, and I wasn't expecting, this kind of approach to a Birds of Prey Harley Quinn film. And I think obviously the characters that stole the show were Harley Quinn, and then we obviously had Black Canary, who I thought was brilliant in the film, Huntress, but we didn't get enough of her. But overall, I think, characters like Harley Quinn, Black Canary really did run the show. I think the only characters that didn't impress me in the film were Black Mask. I mean, I liked his beginning. I thought at the start they actually showed a very complex character, dealing with problems with other people, just, not just himself. But as the movie went on, I found his character to be the typical mustache-twirling villain, and I didn't like that as that we progressed through the film. He served the purpose for the narrative at the end of the film, but really I found him more interesting in the first half an hour, and that was something that, I wish they did a better job with Black Mask in this film. I think he's one of, great villains in, the DC material and in terms of Batman, and I would have liked to seen him done better, but he wasn't terrible. I think that there wasn't really any character in this film which I really stood out as a bad character. I just think there were some characters that could have been fleshed out a bit more. We could have gone deeper with. I honestly think this film could have had an extra half an hour running time, and you could have fleshed out some of the characters, and had them be together a lot longer, and had the final action scene where they come together, you could have had that be slightly longer and more, complex. There wasn't many twists or turns in that scene. It was very much just, an action scene. But as I was saying, I think there are things that really work well. There are characters that really work well in this film, and I think overall the thing that they do get right is the tone, and also just, creating a story that I actually care about, without going too deeply into stuff that isn't really necessary. And I just think that there were some things they could have got, delved into a little bit more. And Black Mask is one of them. I also think Huntress, I think some of the other characters in the Birds of Prey they could have gone into a bit more depth with. But what they do show of characters like Huntress and, Black Canary in the film, what they do show of these characters, it was really good. I liked some of the the development they showed for them. I just wish we had gotten a bit more, basically, because what we did get was really good. So in terms of character development, in terms of the Tarantino high style they go for in this film, I'm telling you, this film would be perfect to watch on a buzz or a high. It really is one of them types of films that you could go into the cinema absolutely fueled up on something and just have a great time. But one of the other standout things of this film was the action. I think the fact that I believe they got the John Wick guy, and his work on this film was brilliant. I think it's some of the best action scenes we've seen in a comic book movie in a while, actually. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't say it's like the pinnacle of action in a comic book movie, because it really is a short running time, and there is a lot of action, but there's not, the scenes don't drag out for too long. They're very, to the point and quick. So overall, the action doesn't overwhelm the movie. There is actually development there. So I think that even though we don't get, extreme amounts of action, the action we do get is great. And that really does correlate to everything in this film. What we get in this film is really good amongst the characters, the story, the action, even the cinematography, the music. Everything is good. I just wish we had gotten more of it. That's really my only negative to the film. I think one of the other negatives, though, is in Cassandra Cain's character. I think she serves the plot well, but I just didn't really like her character at all in this film. And I know she's a young actress, I know she's got things to learn as an actress, and I know the character will probably develop when they do sequels, but for me personally, I didn't really like her character. I didn't like some of the dialogue she was saying in the film. I also didn't like the way they kind of underused her and then started to use her more, and when they did use her more towards the back part of the film, she just wasn't very interesting to me. She just felt like that kind of kid that they were all just protecting, and she just wasn't really doing much in the back part of the film. But apart from Cassandra Cain, which I think they can do really well, they can develop her more. Apart from Black Mask, I liked Victor Zast. I found him to be very entertaining and really psychotic in a way that I don't think the audience can understand. And even though we don't get too much of his backstory in the film, I just found the mystery of his character very appealing. So I think there were some characters they nail on the head and we could have got more of. There are other characters that they just don't quite hit the mark with. But the filmmaking, the action, the Quentin Tarantino-esque vibe they go for, just the non-stop fun time at the cinema that this movie is, really, I had a great time and I enjoyed it. I must say that I know I've only seen the movie once, but I think personally, this is the kind of movie that you can watch a few times a year. It's not the kind of movie that you watch once, you learn everything about, the plot or even the characters' backstories, for instance. It's kind of the movie you want to watch more, and since it goes at such a quick rate, there were certain things that I personally must have missed out on in the film, and I feel like I'd want to see it again to kind of pick them out. So I like when films do that, when they, really do entertain you in a way that they're not just fun and you want to go watch it again because it's fun, but also, things that you may have missed out. And I wouldn't necessarily say that's the editing's fault. I think the editing was really good in this movie, the way they integrated, the kind of timelines in the movie and had Harley Quinn narrate over them at the beginning part of the film. I actually really liked that. But honestly, I just think that kind of the fuel behind this movie and the style that they went for just worked really well in capturing a kind of film that you could put on a few times a year and just have fun with. And that was the overall vibe I got from this film. As I said, I think Harley steals the show. I think Black Canary and Huntress are great. They just probably needed a bit more development, but I'm sure we'll get that in future movies. I found the plot to be pretty enjoyable for the most part. It wasn't the most intricate plot, but it was a plot that, kept me gripped. It kept me watching and wanting to find out what's going on here. But apart from that, obviously the few weaknesses that I've mentioned, I really enjoyed this film. And I honestly, with all the political talk before this film came out, I can't understand why anyone would come out of this film and say that it's political propaganda or it's an SJW film, because really, they don't focus on that at all. They just focus on making a really entertaining, fun ride at the cinema. And honestly, I went along with it and really enjoyed it. So that's my opinion on the film. I'm going to give Birds of Prey a 8 out of 10 or a 4-star in terms of my videos and how I do the rating system. So I'm giving it a 4-star. Really enjoyed it overall, found it to be an entertaining time. I actually really want to go back and watch this film again because it was so much fun. And I'm not the kind of person who, if I find a movie fun, I'm going to say, oh, it's great, it's amazing, just because it's fun. As I said, the points I've listed in the video, I think this film was a really well-made film. It wasn't necessarily the greatest film ever. It's not going to be the greatest film of the year or anything, but it's a great film. It's a really entertaining, fun film. And the way they edit to that, the unique kind of eccentric style at which they present that fun, I found to be an enjoyable time, and it was something that was new for the comic book genre. So that's my opinion on Birds of Prey and my score and review of the film. Let me know down below what you think of Birds of Prey. Did you enjoy it as much as I did? I mean, I don't think it's going to be the greatest film of the year by any shadow of the imagination, but I do think that it's a really entertaining film that deserves multiple watches. So let me know down below what you think. Give me your score down below of Birds of Prey out of 5-star. How would you rate it in comparison to me? And yeah, let me know what you think of my review and what you think overall of the film. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to like, comment and subscribe for more movie and TV news, reviews and content. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.